Hi, this is Christy. Y'all asked me to record making a steek on this blanket, so that's what this video is about today, and I'm just going to dive right in. The blanket was Learn to Love Steeks by Pearl Soho, and I've kind of riffed on what they did. I cast on about the same number of stitches, and I did a steek that was 6 inches. This is the blanket, and swear to God, it was just leftover skeins, and just knit round and round. It was really great while watching TV. So this is the blanket, just a big giant tube at the moment. And these are the steeks. Right here is the steek in this rough little section. I did 3 stitches on each side like this and set a marker on here so I knew where it began and where it ended. And when it came time to start a new color, seriously, all I did was drop the yarn, pick up the new yarn, and keep on knitting until it was time to change. I think I did a stripe repeat of 6 stitches per color until I started running out of colors, and then there was a little bit of wing in it here at the end, as you can see, like a little edging. I did shorter stripes. So the ends, you notice they're kind of messy. I'm not going to trim these up because this is part of what gets cut. So there's going to be trimming after I cut, and I'm not neat and compulsive enough to trim now, trim later. I'm like, I'll trim when it's time to trim. So here's the deal. We're going to take these and I'm going to make a flat piece out of this tube. So let me get it set out here for you so hopefully it's easier to see. I'll check my camera angle. Not quite good enough. Hang on. That's a little better. Put my hand in there. Ooh, Nelly. It's substantial. I really like this. I'm so excited about getting to use it. See if I can get my hands in here where the camera is. Yes. All right. Can you see that? Let me get the scissors away. Everybody's had a drink, right? We're not going to panic. This is a controlled experiment. And honest to God, it's just knitting and it's scrap yarn. I'm not losing anything when I put the scissors to it. And in fact, I'm going to end up with something fabulous. Oh, here's a quick note. This is my bind off end. So literally, I just bound off the whole thing the way you would a flat piece. Start here, go around, end here. There's the end yarn. And in the beginning, that might be helpful to see how that works. I just cast on the way you would any piece of circular knitting. Because when you start, you need the circle. And when you end, you're done and you don't need a circle anymore because you're going to cut. And you can start from either end. That also does not matter. You just start at the end and you start in the middle of the steek. Like I said, I had 3 on each side, and for me, it's really obvious because I have a lot of color changes here. So I'm going to reach in there. Are you with me? Hopefully I've got the right angle. Let me check. Okay. And you know what? If your first stitch or two you don't get the right spot, that's okay too. Just the trick is don't be in a hurry. And be confident about what you're doing. It's knitting. And the great thing about having multiple steek stitches, if you get a stitch off here or there, it is not going to matter. The point is you've given yourself room to work with. But you can see I've got little bars. I'm going to cut the bars. That's how I cut my steek. I go in and I cut these little bars between the center stitches. My little hanging pieces are going to get in the way. It doesn't even matter if you end up cutting those. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you. It's time to freewheel this sucker. So I'm just going to keep going. Slowly, because I'm still cutting my knitting. But yeah, just keep going. I think I'm still in the right spot. More or less. When I get to a new color change, that'll be, if you're not sure, just take a moment and look at it when you do a color change. Is it still the middle stitch? I think it is. So I'm going to keep going. Hopefully I'm still on the screen. Still cutting. Are you lightheaded? Should I take a break? I need a break. I got to rearrange. So it's still easy and convenient to keep cutting at this angle. Yeah, see? Now I got a flat garment. Ooh, my ends are hanging. La, hello. All right, sorry. Take another drink. I might need one myself in a minute. All right, here we go. I'm at the red now. And Can you see my scissors sticking up out there? Yeah, you can. That's where a color change is. It's kind of just me checking that I'm still in the middle of the steek. And it's the worsted weight yarn, which also makes it easier to find the steek. The finer the yarn that gets. If you're not accustomed to steeking, it can start to get a little stressful. But again, it's knitting, and there are ways to repair knitting if you cut a hole where you don't want a hole. If we can darn socks, we can darn steeks, should the need arise. I'm telling you, I don't think it will. I'm still going. Oh, see, look, and I'm catching threads that are where I drop ends and pick up new ones. That's all that is. That's not the knitting itself. And I'll tell you, the first time I did steeks, I did the pickup stitches that they tell you to do. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to cut all of this just to have it done. But I used to do that. I'd cut on one, before I cut on one side, I would pick up the stitches. I'd count in, I'd find the edge of my steek, and I'd pick those up the way you'd pick up a sweater edge. And it would naturally fold this back. I'm out of camera. Let me show you again. I'd find the end of the steek. So I'd go 3 stitches in, and I'd fold. And then I just pick it up like it's a sweater edge and you're going to do a button band. It's really nothing more than that. If it's still in the round, it can get a little awkward if you try to do it on both sides. But that also gave me a little confidence to start cutting. Instead of just ripping into it, I knew that these stitches were secure. Some resources you're going to read are going to talk to you about sewing it down or doing a crocheted edge. That works too. I think I tried a crocheted edge once, and anybody who knows me, I'm all about the knitting, and the finishing is less my strong suit. So, actually, I think I'm going to finish cutting the rest in a bit, because I want to show you this piece, because this is super important. And if you look at that Learn to Love Steeks pattern, they do something called a steek sandwich. I haven't done that before. It sounds fabulous. But again, it's finishing work, and I just want to knit an edge, get this sucker secure, and use my blankie, because it's starting to get cold around here. So here I go. I got my needle, and it's the same size as my my blanket needle was. In fact, it's the same needle. So I'm counting in. This is where I cut. So this is 1, 2. That's my last steek stitch. I'll come down here to the bind off, and I'm going to pick up that first stitch. It's black. Isn't that great? Super helpful. I'm trying to see this. But my red yarn is very visible. I got that in the shot. Now I got it in the shot, and we'll pick that up. That black stitch. And it's just a few. So let me pick them up and then pick up a few more in the colors, and then you can see. It'll be easier to see what I've got. Man, you can kind of see my hands. I haven't got the perfect angle. All right, now we're moving into a new color. That is some fuzzy yarn right there. And I've got all different kinds and brands of yarn, but I think with the exception of this white stuff, it's, and this white stuff up here, which is out of camera now, it's all wool, and it's all not washable wool. It's all stuff that will felt if you throw it in a machine and get some agitation going, which, you know, your choice. You can steek with machine washable, but I kind of like the idea that when I wash it the first few times, these steeks are going to get locked in with the yarn doing its job. All right, and I've got a good many picked up here. So I'm going to check the camera and kind of make sure I'm giving you a really good view of what we got going. All right, so steek side, and it's messy. I promised you it'd be messy. But steek's over here. I picked up stitches. I think one of these stitches is starting to fall apart, but I've still got a firm stitch here. And then I've got a firm stitch here. And you kind of notice how it's naturally starting to lie flat. It's the magic of the picking up the stitches. Everything lies flat on the other side the way you want it to. And really, that's it. That's all I do when it comes to stabilizing a steek. I can't tell you what's going to happen 3 years from now. I just know other things I've used, they hold up pretty well. And if they've got a little bit of feltiness to them, like non-treated wool does. It's going to help hold that steek too. So that's really all there is to it. I feel like I should be giving you something else when I talk about it, but you can tidy up the ends. I'm trying to think about Shetland knitting I've seen done. I bought a sweater from Shetland, and that sucker was beautifully finished. Imagine fingering weight yarn on a full-size sweater, and every single one of these suckers, every single one of these was sewn in, like woven into the sweater. They're a far better person than I, because what I'm going to do, not this minute, because I'm going to take a little more care than I would on the camera, I just trim them even, probably about the length of that green and black right there. That's probably as far as I'll go. And then just make it even. You know how fringe does, so that's the kind of action you can expect on the inside. And then let us do this. And I'm going to knit. You're probably not asking me, well, what about that edge you're picking up? Do you just pick up and bind off? I'm probably going to knit a few out, and I think I might even knit stockinette that curls in towards the inside. Like if I just did stockinette, obviously our stockinette does this. So I'm going to knit the opposite direction. I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. I haven't tried that before, but it seems like it would kind of roll over and give a little more protection to these steeks. So we'll see how that goes, but in the meantime, that's how I steeked. Do you want me to cut a little more while I'm still recording? Just to remind you what I did. I found the center of the steeks, and I just started cutting the bars in between the stitches because it's stockinette. Am I in the camera? I'm in the camera. Stockinette, so you get these V's, and I go not in the middle of a V, but between V's, and cut the bars. Just like that. And these color changes really help keep me on track. I'm loving how much they help keep me on track to keep it in the same lane. I mean, if you go a stitch over here or there, it's not a big deal. That really is why you want to make sure you have more than 1 or 2 stitches in your steek on either side. Buys you a little breathing space and gives you that nice edge so that when these start fraying out, a few stitches are going to hold their place and keep the steek intact. Yeah, that's what I got. All right, thanks.